I'm Josh Muccio. This is The Pitch, where startup founders raise millions and listeners can invest. The pitch for Christie's chips is coming up right after this. And if you ordered some chips, now's a good time to get them out for the taste test. Pitch number 3.
An ad.
Christy.
For us to hear deal flow.
At The Pitch, we're constantly on the lookout for people who are deeply passionate about a problem. So passionate that they will not stop until it's solved. But I never expected to meet someone whose passion lies in potato chips. I didn't even know potato chips were a problem to be solved. But after meeting Christy with Christie's Chips, I was like, yes, we need to reinvent chips. We need a better Lay's. There was only one problem. All her chips were sold out. So our very first taste test would happen in the pitch room.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christy.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Our food critics today are Cyan Banister, Mac Conwell, a new investor to the show, Ben Taft with Genius Ventures, and Elizabeth Yin.
Okay. I'm Christy, the founder of Christie's. But before we begin, I want you guys to visualize something for me for a moment. You're at a Michelin star restaurant. The food is delicious and balanced and simply perfect. Now take that same experience and think if you could have it with your snacks. Delicious, balanced, the best ingredients, the perfect potato chip. That's what you get when a Michelin-trained palate makes junk food with no junk.
Nice.
So I've created Christie's, the very first potato chip brand that crafts nostalgic flavors using only plant-based ingredients. I started with the all-time favorite flavor, sour cream and onion. I removed the buttermilk powder, the cheese powder, the whey protein. And while I was at it, I also made it less greasy, it's less calories, but it has that same rich indulgence that we as consumers know and love when we think of a sour cream and onion potato chip. I felt at my core that it shouldn't matter if a consumer is lactose intolerant or vegan or just wanted something clean to snack on. I didn't want any flavor to be off limits. So with this brand, we're catering to that specific consumer, but we're appealing to all with the best tasting potato chips on the market. Because it's my belief that for a better for you brand to truly win in the market, it has to taste just as good, if not better, than the less healthy counterpart. I'm 3 founders in one. I come from the culinary industry, then I worked in food manufacturing, and then I worked in sales for CPG brands. I've bootstrapped this business from the beginning, so I understand this business, top to bottom. I started it out of a tiny commercial kitchen in South Central LA, where I built out this plant and I made everything by hand. Those were some long hours. And then I've grown it to where we are today, where we ship POs this week for 100,000 units. We have strong unit economics and a path to profitability in 2025. We've made $800K to date, and we have more opportunities in the pipeline. When I look at Christie's, I want this to become the next Boom Chicka Pop, and I want it to become a global household name. I know that you all have the resources and the networks that can help take this brand to the next level, and I'm looking for that partner here today. I'm asking for a $400,000 safe with a $4 million cap. I have samples, so I'd love for you all to try and dive into any questions you might have.
Samples,
Yeah.
demos.
You want samples?
Love to try.
We want samples.
Okay, so we've got,
Whoa, wow.
so
Nice.
these are the 2 newest flavors.
What are they?
Sweet and spicy habanero. It's sweetened with dates, so no sugar, a little bit of lime. It's like it's got a punch to it because it's
Okay.
habanero. Then we've got the mystery flavor, the Zamboni bag. It's a little tart, a little sweet, a little smoky. We've got a sea salt, the original sour cream and onion, sea salt and vinegar. It's probably my personal favorite. And then the backyard barbecue is a sweet and smoky.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me try the barbecue.
there we go.
I'll share
I'll take
barbecue
the
with
sour
you.
cream and onion. I love the packaging, by the way. Well
you.
branded.
I love barbecue. Actually, I love chips in general, so I'm very excited.
And these were produced last week. We had a new production run. They're produced last week. I pulled the bags right off the line.
That's good.
Thank
really
you.
good.
That is a quality chip.
That is
Yeah.
a quality
I mean,
chip.
Like typically with healthy foods,
Yeah,
you get a little bit of what you want, but not really.
Exactly.
But it's not so far off that like if I wanted to eat healthy, I would want to stay away from this.
Exactly.
So that's
Is that sea salt?
super impressive.
Thank you.
Wow.
I also like how it's not too salty.
Exactly.
This is great.
So
Thank you.
you said you've made $800K to date. How long have you been running this business?
So we launched in a big facility in 2022.
Okay.
So we made 142,000 the first year.
Mm-hmm.
The second year was 325,000, and then to date we've made 335K.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you selling right now?
We sell mostly B2B, so we sell wholesale. We do sell online, and then we have a couple wholesale websites where they sell to customers.
Why did you decide to do this?
So I had this light bulb moment. I had left the restaurant industry, so I was working at a 2 Michelin-star restaurant here in San Francisco, Lazy Bear, if you all know it. It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that place. But I just left that avenue, and I started working in manufacturing. And I was their R&D point person. So I was the one working with the brands. So I was in stores all the time. So that was that market testing, that research of what are people selling, talking to managers, do they think this could sell? And the idea is actually it originated with a buddy of mine. He's vegan. And he says to me in what conversation one day that I haven't had a sour cream and onion potato chip in like 10 years. Like nobody just made a dairy-free version. And so I went back to him and I was like, I'll match it for you. I can do this. I used to do it at the plant. I can do it now. So I took the sour cream and onion, matched it to a Lay's, but I circled all the ingredients that had dairy, removed all of those, and then I made it less greasy, less calories. And then when I landed it, I was like, man, maybe we could do something here. Like maybe people would buy it.
So actually, can you back up? Because
Yeah, of course.
I'm a bit ignorant in this and don't really read labels like I probably should on
Yeah.
the back of these junk food things. So what is in here that is different or what is not in here? Like you mentioned dairy. Are there other things that are typically not plant-based in chips?
Sour cream and onion specifically is going to have a buttermilk powder, maybe a whey protein, a cheese powder. And so I removed like the milk powders, the buttermilk powders, and I replaced it. We had an onion powder base with a vinegar powder. So add that like oniony, that sourness, and then we use a buttermilk flavor that's vegan.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
to give it that
Got
like
it.
richness.
It's very interesting that you came in positioning this as, plant-based and I guess it says supernatural. It doesn't come out just straight up saying like this is for vegans or whatever,
Yeah.
Because I guess when I think of potato chips, I think, oh, well, they have potatoes in them. So they're already plants, maybe?
Yeah. So I'm from Indiana originally, right? And my dad is like a meat and potatoes guy, and he wouldn't touch a vegan product with the 10-foot pole. And so I wanted to make sure that we weren't ostracizing all the people that don't want to eat a vegan diet. We wanted to make sure that if you were vegan, you could see it and you could grab it. But I didn't want it to be too far in your face because I wanted this to be a brand that appealed to everybody and it didn't write this off for somebody else to enjoy. Yeah.
Fair enough.
You mentioned earlier that you had great unit economics. Can you tell us about what your unit economics are?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, we have a 45% margin, but we have plans in place for next year as we continue to grow to decrease our cost of production. That's our biggest cost of production is the potatoes. So we have suppliers set up and we have metrics of when we get to this scale, we can drop the price. Like our seasoning, we purchase in like 1,000 pounds. So when we get to 2,000 pounds and 3,000 pounds, we see those the
margins go
cents
up the
dropping
scale.
off. Exactly. And then also, as we continue to get bigger, freight. We can start shipping full truckloads instead of less than truckloads, and freight is such a killer. So we can increase that way as well.
How much do you charge for this?
We do a landed cost of $225, and then we sell, depending on the distribution channel, around $3.99 to $4.29. Depends on the markup of the distributor and whatever the retailer wants to mark it up.
So this actually is in line with the cost of regular potato chips.
Yeah, exactly. Because we wanted to focus on that. Like, we didn't want there to be any reason the consumer wouldn't buy our product. So we're never going to be the most expensive, but we are never going to be the cheapest. We want to live right in the center.
That's interesting positioning.
Yeah.
Because usually with these plant-based things, they try to be a more premium product.
Exactly.
But you're saying you do want to go after, let's say, the Lay's customer.
Exactly. My dream for this brand is that we create something with better ingredients that was accessible to everybody. And at its core, yes, it is a plant-based product, but it's a potato chip nonetheless. It's something that people recognize, something that people expect to cost between X and Y. You know what I mean? And so we can't go outside of that too far or we're going to negate that customer or this customer that wants to buy something or they're looking at this and then Lay's and they don't understand why would Lay's be less than ours,
What retailers are you in, and what's the archetype of the consumer that's buying it off the shelves right now?
Yeah, so We're in nationwide independents. So we have like the delis, the coffee shops, the gift shops. We do have a couple hotels. And then we have Bristol Farms, and we're launching with Sprouts in 2 weeks. But the consumer that we see most predominantly is a female focus. So we see 24 to 35. A lot of times we actually do see like the young mother, because our chips are the classic style. So they're like super thin and crispy. They're not that like kettle style that's like too hard to chew for a child. And so we see that be like a big demographic of people that like care about what is in their products. They don't necessarily trust those bigger corporations. They're kind of like getting to know that there's these ingredients that they don't really feel safe with. And that's where our brand comes into play.
And what's the team like?
So everything is external, except my 2 friends. They came on board right at the beginning, and they work in the creative space. I've hired an external sales team. I've hired brokers in different revenue channels, because there's like the food service. We just hired a broker for military commissaries. We have a retail, because there's all these different revenue channels that this kind of product can go into.
So you have a lot of great external resources.
External, yeah.
And then out of all the people you mentioned, who's core on payroll full-time, if any, yet so far?
Nobody.
Cool.
Yeah. Nobody.
Very lean operation.
Very lean operation. Yeah. I have one of my mentors. He's the guy that owns the facility. He did exactly what I want to do. He started a potato chip company and took it to acquisition and all that stuff. And he told me, you know,
Which one?
Zapp's.
Cool.
Zapp's and Dirty's.
Okay. Yeah.
So he owns 3 facilities, but he's a mentor to me. You know, he tells me, you can run $3 million operation with a couple people. You don't need, for something like this, we can have external teams that operate in all these spheres, all the revenue channels, and then have a really tight internal team that can manage all of that. Instead of sinking money into payroll, we can put the money into the brand, market it, get it out there in the public.
I love that. So what do you think your burn rate will go up to after this round? I assume this is your first round.
Yeah, very first. So we have very, very lean. I'm not burning a lot of money at all. So we burn maybe $6,000 or $7,000 a month. I would like to keep it pretty tight. We're working now with a factoring company, and that company does lend on inventory. So that money, we don't have to use.
Smart.
Exactly, right? So we can still fulfill like the Sprouts order before we get funding. We'll get paid for that immediately, 80%.
I'm impressed you were able to land that like so early.
Yeah, no, because when you bootstrap the business, you're like, okay, how can I continue to grow, stay lean, and not go bankrupt? You know, you got to be creative in like what you're doing and how you can do it. So we're hoping that that burn rate stays really, really low. So we spend the money in the smart places that we know is going to get a return.
How much have you raised to the 400K that you're looking for?
We have raised nothing.
We'll be right back after a quick snack.
How much have you raised to the 400K that you're looking for?
We have raised nothing. So it's a clean slate, and I've bootstrapped all of it up to this point.
Wow, that's impressive. This is at for post, for pre, for
post.
So, very clean branding.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you have the ingredients like in super size.
Yeah.
To emphasize, all plant-based ingredients.
Yeah.
But talk to me a little bit about how do you get this out? Because like putting something like this in a big box store, great. But how do you get people to go to this shelf of all the chips and have them hone in on Christie's?
So I'd put a major focus, if not all of the focus, on in-store promotions, sampling, demos. So I know that with any new food or beverage brand, we need to get consumers to try it if they're going to buy it. We pay for end caps. We pay for a temporary price reduction, so we get like a sale tag of 2 for $7, and then we go in and we have people demoing at that store during high volume times to get that conversion to share the story of the brand, because we see that people really connect with like a brand that the founder, the person that creates it, is like really involved in the product, and so it works really well for us, and we get conversion, and then we get a lift, and it stays there. Yeah, so that's the plan that we have so far. For this Sprouts launch, it is a bigger scale, so we are going to implement some more of those like digital marketing opportunities like Instacart. We're a certified women-owned brand, so we get free ad dollars every month. So we're going to double that, and then we'll pay a certain amount each month based on like the recommendation that they gave us for new brands. I shy away from influencers because they can get expensive, and I want to make sure that like the money, because I bootstrap, the money that we're spending is going to get that conversion 100%.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years. Okay, in 10 years, I want to recreate all of like the favorite snacks that we all grew up with. Like I can't tell you how many people have asked me, like, can you make a Flamin' Hot Cheeto and make it like really good but like super clean, right? And so
And you think you can?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, and then it gets me so excited because we've got the puffs, tortilla chips, but then, I have this vision of, like Frito-Lay has like their dips in front of the chips. Okay, I want to do that as well, but I want to make them like super clean, plant-based.
That stuff is really bad for you.
It's horrible. It's basically just oil and emulsifiers, right?
Yeah.
So I want to make that, like recreate that whole set, but like super clean, all natural products and like recreate everything that we grew up with. And so that's like when I see in 10 years, like walk into like a Walmart and see like a big set of like all of the branded Christie stuff and it like pops off the shelf and it's so beautiful. Like in 10 years, I want to create a company that like takes over that portion of the snack aisle.
So the healthy, clean version of Lay's.
Yeah.
Let's say you get 6 years in, doing really well, and a company like Lay's says, hey, we want to buy this. Would that be interesting to you?
So the thing that I would think about is who's the company that's going to buy the company? Because like at the cornerstone of this brand is I want it to be like integrity, sustainability focused, something that a buyer is not going to just torpedo everything that we've worked for, and I've heard like the horror stories of like a company acquiring a company and it just falls apart. So it would really depend on who the buyer is and are they going to take what we've built and make it even better and accessible to even more people and like carry on that mission. That would be what I would be looking for.
I love that.
Related to margins, I know right now you want to do everything locally.
Yeah.
Do you think the margins increase by doing other things? Certainly volume helps you, but any offshoring thoughts, or do you think that that's just not worth it?
So I've had many conversations with people. They've come, we have some like countries in Asia because it's like a non-dairy product. They've like explored some interest. And always the hurdle with that is not necessarily like, do we want to do this business, but is the volume there because of freight, and freight can get really expensive? And then what's the conversion, currency they're using, what's the conversion and what in their category is typical to their consumers, right? So we like, until we can get the volume there and the right partner, say there's like a chain account where the volume is going to be there. And so we can ship multiple containers where like the freight is spread across all the units, then it will make sense. But it is something fun that we would explore.
You are incredible. You know this
you.
industry inside and out from multiple points. I've seen a lot of CPG companies, and I think having a small team and all these brokers, super smart. It's allowed you to grow faster than some other CPG brands I've seen. Like, this is going to be successful. At what level, I don't know. Like, what I'm struggling with personally is I've seen a lot of CPG companies. It can be really, really tough for a new brand to break in. But even more so, it becomes really tough for a new brand to scale. Like, I've seen companies get to $1 million, $2 million in revenue, 3.5, and start to plateau. And then it seems like there becomes a different game to play. So for those reasons, I'm out. But I feel this little tug, which is always a thing. But when RareBreed's out, but I would love to stay in touch.
Thank you.
Hustle Fund does only invest in software, but I'm very impressed with all that you've done here. You know everything backwards and forwards. So I would be in for a 10K personal check.
I love that.
I'm in the same bucket as Hustle Fund over here. Heartbreakingly, my fund does not do CPG. So by mandate, I'm unable to invest in the company, which it just breaks my heart. That being said, spiritually and personally, I'm so in. You've got an insanely big vision, and you're resilient in the way you present that vision. You're operationally super excellent. You've really just nailed it with doing it solo right now, like leveraging partners. I love that you have a mentor who's done it before, so you've got the path well charted in front of you, and your curiosity and attention to details and turning over every stone. You know about the process, you know about currency exchange if you're going to sell internationally. Like, you've turned over every stone. I want to invest personally, and also I'm based in LA, and I have a ton of friends in CPG and who own retail. And we do a lot of just like consumer investing together as friends. So I'd like to, as much as you'd let me, help shepherd in a lot of capital to invest alongside me from that world, because there's a lot of really strategic value we can add over there. So
I would love that. Thank you so much.
How much will you and your friends invest?
Probably in like the $50,000 total range for all of us. And then we'll make a lot of introductions to a lot of the funds that can maybe take the rest.
Thank you.
So I don't do CPG really. So I would like to take a wait and see approach.
Of course.
This is one of the things where I would like to go back and talk to my husband to see whether or not we are investing in CPG personally. And I would love to take some to him.
Oh, absolutely.
So he can
Please.
try them.
And I've brought more, so we've got some over there as well.
So I can't commit to a number right now, but I am intrigued.
And if any of our funds did CPG, you'd have all the money right now.
I think you can raise this pretty easily. We can help you pull together. Because I have a bunch of... So because I cannot personally invest in things that Hustle Fund would invest in, my personal portfolio has ended up being a number of food entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
A number of them angel invest.
Yeah.
So we can probably round up a good chunk of this round.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
There you go.
I want to trade you for the barbecue.
And leave the chips. Leave the chips for
Yeah,
us.
That's part of the deal.
Go anywhere with your chips.
That's part of the deal.
Yeah. I'm glad you like them.
Yeah. What you could do is make one chip that is vegan by brand, and then vegans will notice that.
Yeah.
And then they'll look at everyone and they'll be like, well, they're all vegan.
Yeah.
Vegans figure it out and they spread the information amongst each other.
Great.
You only need one bag that's called the vegan chip.
The vegan chip. That's actually great.
That's why I thought, like, by calling it out, you get better word of mouth in sort of niche groups.
100%, right?
My intuition, which I have no background in this, is that maybe you might want to
Try the plain one.
increase it a little bit.
Yeah.
Still want it to be affordable, but I think even
Plain is
if
like
I
the benchmark.
look at like today's prices for Lay's,
Mm-hmm.
I think this is like exactly the price of Lay's.
Yeah.
Ish.
Around,
I feel like this should be like $4.99.
At some places, they do bump it up to $4.99. We worked with a distributor in New York briefly. They were pricing it at like $5.99.
Yeah.
And that just that's a little bit too high. We saw like if it's sitting next to a Lay's and it's too far out, then it doesn't do well.
So just sort of as an anecdote, I have a small check into Olipop.
Yeah. Nice.
And one of my initial reservations was the price.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. Like, who's going to pay whatever $2.50 in the grocery store for a soda, and then in the airport it's like $7.
Of course.
Soda.
Yeah.
But people do.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and people do in part because it feels premium.
For sure. And it's like, oh, it's better for my health, so I'll pay more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Better for my health. I'm worth it. I'm going to pay more.
Yeah. I like that.
I think a lot of people are afraid to bump up the price. I think you should.
I like
actually
that.
think it would help you.
I like that.
bump
Even
it
if
up.
it's 50 cents. Like
Try
if we go to like a $4.99.
Try it.
I'm curious.
And then see what happens.
Cool.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much. This was crazy. This is great.
Awesome.
I was sitting out there with him and I was like, what is my life? Like, where are we going? But in like the best way. Like, okay, one more thing. It's great. Yeah, thank you
Keep
so
going.
much.
Yeah.
I
Keep
appreciate
going.
it. Thank you. Should I
Josh might
take? I'll take these out. I'll leave them out there so you guys can grab.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
definitely
we will
want
eat
them.
So
We will eat
Thank you
them.
so much.
Oh, this is so good.
The barbecue's
I
really
was
good.
right before this. I was almost going to eat a bag of the the Maui chip barbecues that's
Yeah.
out there, but this is way better. It's
So
less
good.
salty.
Yeah,
Guys, that
it
was
is less
Christy
salty.
from Christie's Chips. The Christie.
The Christie.
So good. What do you think the end state of this business is before it sells?
If she continues, it's easily a $1 billion business. Easily.
Okay, I'll bite. We'll be right back after the break.
If she continues, it's easily a $1 billion business. Easily.
$1 billion chip brand.
The thing about food and beverage I've learned in the last few years is people eat so much of it. That's how these brands are worth a lot. Like, it actually is kind of frightening how many sodas people drink, how many chips people eat. Like, just people consume a lot of this stuff. Like, there's a reason
Chips
why.
are like a go-to thing too,
Yeah.
like the party food.
Yeah. So,
I'm making a serious dent in this bag. Y'all.
I mean, you're contributing to her lifetime value with that one bag in an hour.
Remember, it's slightly healthier.
Slightly healthier. But I'm
Somebody's
slightly
diet,
allergic
that's
to
potato.
dairy, so that's perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole like CPG company life cycle basically is like there's a lot of noise, there's a little bit of signal, that signal breaks through, and then it's like they are between 100 million and $1 billion valuation, and then like Kellogg's will buy them, or like one of the other like five or like
Yeah.
4 holding companies, and like that's just the state of CPG.
Okay.
And I too think that she can easily break through into that
The cycles
range.
are faster, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And you have to catch the cycle too, because like the consumer sentiment shifts. So like people like CPG brands will ride a particular wave. Like right now, the waves are all like no seed oils or like microplastics or like those things like will carry consumer sentiment for like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to sell when it's like hot, and then people stop caring about those things. And that's also why you don't want to pigeonhole into vegan necessarily, because who knows how cyclical that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cyan, what was the most impressive thing for you?
Her breadth of knowledge, the bootstrapping of the business,
Yep.
just her scrappiness. It's so hard to bring a physical product into the world.
Yes.
And interestingly, she reminds me a little bit of the founder of Smitten Ice Cream. But maybe this is sort of a common founder story. Like, I sold to convenient marts, and I was making my own chips, and I was putting them in their own bags. And and there's something to that story that really hit me.
Yeah. I've just never seen someone so passionate about
And it's
chips.
good. And it's good.
Yeah.
Early on in my journey, there was a company in Baltimore that made hash, and they were selling it in stores. And like this founder was just like all in hash.
Hash?
Yes, like shredded potatoes with
That
corned
kind of
beef.
Hash
hash.
browns.
That kind of hash.
We all have that friend, Mac.
No, like breakfast hash, and they were doing like interesting combinations like crab meat and stuff like that. And I helped them get some investment. That just took off. But like, I never met somebody so passionate about breakfast hash.
You showed me that one and I missed out. But actually, I think of all the sort of non-VC categories, whether it's hardware, e-commerce, or all these other things, I think food is actually one of the most lucrative. Just people eat and drink so much stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing.
And
but
they love their brands. They love their chips.
And so if once
Yeah.
you kind of get to actually where her stage is, you've got the formula, people love it, and you have some sales, then it actually doesn't take that much money.
So our fund mandate does not say that we have to only invest in software. We can invest in anything if we think it's interesting, because it's funded by listeners and they get to hear exactly how we make investments and decide whether they want to be involved. So it's a small fund. It's like $5 million under management in Fund 1. Is this a good investment for our fund?
You have 3 other people here telling you yes.
Yeah.
What is your LP base? Like, they're the fans?
Entirely listeners.
Oh, then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should do it.
Absolutely.
That's consumer marketing.
This is a safe bet for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Safer
But still has that $1 billion outcome potential.
potential.
Yeah.
Exactly. If
Less
I were you,
money
I would
gets-
take the rest.
Yeah.
Rest of her round?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a low valuation for all that she's accomplished.
Yeah, super low.
And the product's already there. She already has relationships in selling. She has great people around her. She hasn't spent any money, really. And this thing could have $1 billion outcome.
Man, this is a savory investment. That was the listeners all laughing. Or cringing.
Or cringing.
You guys want to go eat lunch or are you
Yes.
full?
Yeah, well, definitely go eat lunch.
Why do people keep telling us to bet the whole fund on one deal? Come on now. They taught us not to do that on day 1 of venture capital class. They also didn't teach us to write personal checks into food startups. That hasn't stopped Elizabeth. But with this deal, something else might.
Sorry, what is your structure? You have an LLC and
I do have an LLC, yes.
I would actually convert the LLC into a C Corp, especially institutional investors. Like, they will not invest in LLCs. They'll only invest in C Corps.
Will Christie's convert to a C Corp and secure the bag? Tune in to our season finale on December 11th to find out. We're hosting a virtual watch party that night at 7 p.m. Eastern. More details to come, but you can register right now at pitch.show/party. At the Pitch Fund, we're bullish on any industry that can make us money, including but not limited to chips. So if you're bullish on humans eating, you can invest with us at thepitch.fund. Fund 1 closes to the general public on December 15th. Next week on The Pitch.
We began with trying to solve the problem of hospital falls from a risk assessment standpoint.
Look, y'all, I know we just in here, it's only 11 minutes, but at this point in the proceedings, I want to tell you, this is dope.
What's your ultimate ambition with the company?
5 years from now, I think we are probably going to be bought out. We're being realistic. We realize they're much larger players.
Don't be realistic in front of investors. It doesn't help you.
Is it okay if I can be an asshole for a moment?
That's next week. Subscribe to The Pitch right now and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. While we're talking food, I need a minute to thank one of our listeners, Brian Tublin. He generously offered to cater our season 12 recording event, and the food was delicious. If you find yourself in the Bay Area, you should definitely check out his restaurant, Catawba. This episode was made by me, Josh Muccio, Lisa Muccio, Anna Ladd, Enoch Kim, and Jackie Papinair, with deal sourcing by Peter Liu and John Alvarez. Thanks to friend of the show, Dimple Kochikar, for introducing us to Christy. Music in this episode is by The Musemaker, Breakmaster Cylinder, Jules Blueprints, Anders, Imagined Nostalgia, Free Dust, and First Sticks. The Pitch is made in partnership with the Vox Media Podcast Network.